In March 2024, an unexpected visitor completely changed the routine of a peaceful community. A leopard suddenly appeared, putting every resident of the region on high alert. No place seemed safe, and even a boy, already old enough to understand the danger, decided to stay still and completely silent in the face of the threat. But this wasn't an isolated situation. In the surrounding areas, stories of leopard encounters had already become common, especially at night when these animals feel more confident to explore human territories. During the day, things were different. Local groups tried to reassure one another, saying they had quick and effective ways to handle the presence of these predators. Even so, the concern was justified. Leopards don't just scare people, they often invade properties, destroy beehives, and drive away domestic animals, causing constant losses and insecurity for local families. For farmers, getting a good night's sleep had become a rare luxury, and this situation isn't unique to that community. In the Indian state of Maharashtra, these attacks are part of a sad statistic. On average, 162 people face leopard attacks every year. Of those incidents, about 52 are particularly severe, showing that the problem goes beyond a simple threat. There, whenever a leopard is spotted, residents immediately call specialized groups whose mission is to capture and return the animals to safer areas. In places like Kenya, in nature reserves such as Maasai, conflicts are fewer but still frequent. Each year, there are between 11 and 14 incidents, usually involving residents trying to protect their properties or livestock. These events highlight something crucial. Coexisting with wild animals is a constant challenge. Behind these numbers are real stories, personal dramas, and a daily struggle for safety and balance. So, is there a safe and peaceful way for humans and leopards to coexist? That's exactly the question we need to answer. And maybe by the end of this story, we can discover together how to turn this conflict into a lesson in respect and coexistence. On an ordinary morning in February, exactly on February 8, 2016, the routine at a school in India was unexpectedly interrupted. Students and teachers started the day without imagining it would become one of the most dangerous moments they had ever faced. 3 people were injured during this incident, which highlighted the bravery of a man named Pharaoh Inez, whose actions would become unforgettable for the local community. Events like this aren't frequent, but they happen at least once a year in India, reminding everyone that the coexistence between humans and wild animals can quickly spiral out of control. This constant tension has led several countries to rethink their strategies. To protect people while also preventing harm to the animals, strict controlled capture programs have been put in place. But how do these captures actually work? Usually small teams of 3 to 5 people get involved. Among them, there are always 1 or 2 local guides, experienced professionals who know the area deeply, as well as trained hunters and those responsible for logistics. They work in perfect sync to ensure an efficient and safe operation. These operations require detailed planning and come with a high price tag. Each capture can cost from $800 to over $25,000, depending on how complex the mission is. In 2022, there were 37 capture expeditions in different parts of the world, with most participants coming from countries like the United States, Germany, and France. In certain areas, teams set up large traps in strategic spots. Leopards, already used to roaming these places, end up making it easier to locate them. With everything ready and the animal under surveillance, the hunters wait for the right moment to act, ensuring the safety of both the population and the animal. Recently, a mission to capture a leopard put an entire village on alert. The team finally located the animal and had to decide precisely the best time to take the shot. But this story goes far beyond just taking down a predator, because when a leopard has cubs, any wrong move can make the situation even more dangerous. The threat isn't limited to leopards. Other larger animals also pose major risks, especially when they invade properties in search of prey like giraffes or cattle. Imagine what it means for a farmer to lose their livelihood in a single night. Such losses can easily add up to thousands of dollars, putting entire families in financial trouble. The truth is that for these residents, each night can bring a new danger. In regions where lions exist, for example, the consequences can be even more serious. In Tanzania, known for the vast Serengeti savanna, the numbers are striking. Approximately 94 lion attacks happen every year, of which more than 30 end in tragedy. This shows how the danger is real and much greater than most people imagine. In Kenya, the problem has other characteristics. Leopards live very close to each other, which increases the frequency of these dangerous encounters. Moreover, the movements of lions that migrate to this region create an even more unstable scenario. Between 21 and 26 serious incidents happen every year, mainly affecting herders and communities near forested areas. For those who live this reality, it's not just about numbers but a daily battle for survival. Every attack, every animal that appears unexpectedly, can mean irreparable losses. In the heart of Tanzania, the coexistence between humans and lions is a delicate balance that often threatens to break. Faced with this reality, local authorities decided to implement strict measures, some even controversial, to effectively manage this conflict. But how exactly do they do that? One of the most debated measures is regulated hunting. It's not random, but part of a careful plan supervised by government agencies in charge of wildlife conservation in the country. These agencies maintain specialized teams, usually 4 to 5 members, with their own vehicles to patrol areas where attacks are more frequent. However, organizing a legal lion hunt involves high investments. Costs can range from about $50,000 to almost $60,000 per operation. Interestingly, many of the licensed hunters come from the United States, drawn both by the adventure and the challenge of taking part in these special programs. If you think hunting lions is complicated, you should know that capturing leopards can be even more complex and expensive, requiring specific equipment and more logistical preparation. To give you an idea, just in 2022, Tanzania issued 117 specific licenses to hunt lions. Does that seem like a lot? Not so much, considering that legalized hunting is part of a larger effort to protect both residents and the lion population itself. In the past 2 years, there have been nearly 30 livestock attacks, leading many locals to see these regulated hunts as necessary for local balance. At certain times of the year, finding tracks and signs of lions becomes much easier. That's exactly when specialized teams start a careful process of tracking them. But how do they locate these animals so efficiently? It all begins with constant monitoring of the environment. Detailed tracking is done, listening closely to the lion's roars, which work like a natural map showing where they are. Once the exact location is identified, a delicate strategy begins. Luring the lion with the carcass of another animal is bait. And that's when the hunter needs to show absolute precision. Every shot is calculated down to the millimeter to avoid any margin of error. But is that really enough? Outside professional teams, farmers, and locals have to deal with this threat every day. In Kenya, for example, innovative initiatives led by the Maasai communities aim to educate local inhabitants on effective ways to protect their livestock. Meanwhile, in Tanzania, residents came together to test simple but very effective methods, such as installing lights and noise-making objects. The result? Up to a 42% reduction in nighttime attacks. While lions and leopards are obviously dangerous, few people imagine that even animals that seem less threatening, like baboons, can also cause major problems. Although they're not as strong as big cats, baboons are surprisingly intelligent and can create unexpected challenges for local communities. Imagine waking up early, looking out the window, and realizing all your hard work has disappeared overnight. That's exactly what often happens to farmers living near areas inhabited by baboons. Even though they're smaller than lions and leopards, baboons can cause impressive damage. In just a few hours, a group of 20 to 50 baboons can wipe out an entire orchard, destroying fruits and vegetables that took months to grow. But the issue goes beyond economic loss. For farmers, these animals pose a real safety concern. While they're not known for constant attacks on humans, baboons can react violently when they feel threatened or when they're protecting their young. A bite from one of these animals can cause serious infections, bringing unexpected complications for people living nearby. This situation is even more critical in mountainous regions. There, baboon groups are typically smaller, but the incidents can be more severe. In these areas alone, about 12 fatal attacks are recorded every year. And in regions close to South Africa and the famous Cape Mountains, the number of people attacked rises to around 15 per year. In response, communities have decided to take action. Local farmers and specialized hunters began joining forces with authorities to find practical solutions. Small teams of just 2 or 3 people use simple weapons, ranging from small firearms to slingshots, to control and drive these animals away from farmland. When people think of hunts, they usually picture big animals like lions or leopards, but there's another scenario that attracts less attention yet poses many challenges: hunts involving baboons. Even though they're smaller, these animals cause significant problems for farmers and residents in nearby areas. The cost to hunt baboons is generally more affordable compared to larger hunts, with prices varying greatly depending on the country and the fees involved. For instance, a guide in Ethiopia recently stated that in 2022, at least 60% of legal hunts included participants mostly from the United States. So how exactly does this hunt work? The process is simple but quite efficient. Typically, teams made up of local residents or small groups of hunters act early in the morning or in the middle of the afternoon, times when baboons go out searching for food. They might not be as fast as leopards or as strong as lions, but they're intelligent and quick enough to attack and escape before anyone notices. Around rivers and lakes, baboons use a different strategy. They stay completely still, patiently waiting for insects. When you least expect it, they strike quickly and within minutes can destroy crops, causing financial losses and leaving residents shocked by their speed. But if you think baboons are the only danger near the water, it's time to learn about another predator, the Nile crocodile. Once they reach adulthood, these crocodiles can be even more dangerous, attacking humans and animals in a matter of seconds. Both in Africa and in Australia, where saltwater crocodiles behave similarly, rural communities must live with this real, ongoing threat. A single attack can not only result in thousands of dollars in losses, but also put lives at risk. When alligators started appearing unexpectedly in the low, flooded areas of Florida, no one imagined that peaceful coexistence would soon turn into daily worry. From that point on, every walk near the water became a real, unpredictable risk. However, this situation isn't exclusive to Florida. In Uganda, near Lake Victoria, entire communities frequently face attacks from the dreaded Nile crocodile. Every year, between 35 and 50 people are attacked, and more than half of those cases result in serious injuries or worse. For these residents, a simple stroll by the river can become a defining moment in their lives. But is it possible to reduce these risks? In Australia, a good example can be found on the famous Daintree River. There, crocodile attacks have dropped significantly, down to only 5 to 8 cases a year. This reduction didn't happen by chance. It's thanks to specific measures adopted by local authorities. Across the entire country, about 10 attacks are reported annually, and most victims receive help right away. Even with this progress, the danger still remains. Crocodiles are unpredictable predators, especially at night when their eyes glow, easily revealing their presence. To deal with this threat, governments and farmers have teamed up in combined efforts to control these populations. But how does that actually happen? Small groups, usually 4 people, receive training to capture or, when necessary, kill crocodiles. Using boats and proper equipment, they can act effectively, both day and night. Imagine living somewhere where something as simple as getting water could become a life-threatening situation. That's exactly what thousands of people face daily in places like Uganda and Florida. The danger? Crocodiles and alligators lurking in the waters near their communities. It all starts with a simple but effective process. At night, hunters use spotlights to find these predators by the shine in their eyes. Then they place bait on the shore, usually meat tied to a rope. The goal is to lure the animal to a spot where a precise shot is possible, using powerful guns and special ammunition designed to quickly eliminate the threat. In Uganda, near the Victoria River, the situation is particularly serious. About 185 incidents happen every year, related to a relatively small population of Nile crocodiles. In Florida, the scenario is different. There are more than 1 million alligators, but thanks to recent measures, attacks have dropped significantly, from 33 down to just 10 incidents a year. But does simply hunting these animals completely solve the problem? Outside official hunting seasons, local communities and authorities have been looking for alternative and creative solutions. In Florida, for example, many crocodiles are captured and moved to distant areas, preventing them from posing an immediate risk to residents and tourists. Meanwhile, in Uganda, people have opted for practical, straightforward solutions. They put up warning signs near rivers, alerting everyone about the constant presence of crocodiles. And they went further. They set up small reservoirs protected by fences, allowing both people and cattle to access water safely without facing the risk of attacks. These measures might seem basic, but they've dramatically changed life in these regions. Even so, the main question remains: will it ever be possible to live peacefully with such dangerous predators? If you've read this far, you've already noticed that this complex relationship between humans and wild animals is full of challenges and also surprising solutions. But now I want to hear your opinion. How do you think we can improve this coexistence even more? Leave your comment below. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps spread this important message. And of course, to keep following amazing stories like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.